Is it true that everything is expensive in the US? How much? How to use American laundromats? My clothes are drying. Ah, so beautiful. How to give new life to an old factory? What a casino! If not for this factory, there wouldn't be New York as we know it. How can you make a megalopolis comfortable for adults, children, and even dogs? You really want to be a dog in New York. In this video, we'll see how to return the city to its inhabitants on the example of New York. It turns out that an exclusion zone can become an attraction zone. New York is one of the best-known cities in the world. Some immediately fall in love with it, others hate it, but have their reasons. In this video, I'm going to show you how formal industrial areas of Manhattan and Brooklyn have changed. But first, we will go to the city of Bethlehem, where the famous New York skyscrapers come from. We are actually in the place where skyscrapers were born. To build a skyscraper, you need steel, laminated metal. It must be produced somewhere, and the steel was produced here. The Bethlehem Steel Company was founded in 1857. In the 20th century, its steel factory was the largest in the world. Besides metal for skyscrapers and the most famous bridges in the USA, they also produced ships and military equipment here. During World War II, the company built more than 1,000 ships. Some say that the production of this factory accelerated the victory of the Allies over Germany. First, Bethlehem Steel became a symbol of U.S. industrial power, and then of its decline. Since the 1970s, the American industry got behind cheap products from Europe and Asia. In 1995, the plant was shut down, and in 2003, the company ceased to exist. If it weren't for this factory, New York City as we know it today would not exist. It is a story of how the United States turned from an industrial country to what we have here today, a non-industrial country, because at some point it could not stand the competition with Germany and Japan. For more than a century, Bethlehem was a monotown with a strong dependence on the factory. It can be compared to the Russian city of Vorkuta that depends fully on coal mines. When they started closing, people left the town, and it practically became a ghost. The population of Bethlehem didn't change much after the factory shut down. When the workers left the plants, tourism came here. There is a concert venue there, which hosts various musical festivals, jazz festivals, and other events. But they didn't fix the industrial zone for the sake of art. They also opened a hotel, a television studio, offices, and a casino here. It was for the slot machines that they built all these things. But it seems that the gambling business is not doing very well at the moment. A casino only has a license if they have a certain number of players. But if the number of players is reduced, it means no one needs a casino here, and it should be closed. They bring Chinese guys here who pretend to be players. They give a coupon to one. They bring them on a bus in the morning. Of course, the Chinese don't play. They just convert those vouchers to cash and just sit there waiting for the return bus to go to Manhattan's Chinatown. But even if you don't like gambling, there are places worth visiting here. As we already know, the idea of rebuilding old steel factories, turning them into tourist places, is not new. There is a large park in German Duisburg Nord. There used to be a steel factory there. The city authorities took a long time to decide what to do with it after the plant was closed, and they didn't come up with anything better than turning it into a huge park. But unlike here in German Duisburg, you can enter these wood shops and touch everything. Climb the stairs to the blast furnace, etc. So they have closer contact with all that industrial architecture, and it's much more interesting. But on the other hand, this plant is cool, because you get to see the workshops as they left them. Somewhere the roof collapsed. In some parts, the wood is facing outwards. It's like the workers left, and everything remained as it was. You cannot touch it. The problem is that if you get hurt here, they will be held responsible, and they'll pay for it. So it's easier not to let you in at all, as safe as possible. What did you call it? An industrial zoo. This piece of concrete is just stuck to nothing, on a wire that will soon rot, and the thing will collapse. In general, they have pretty cool urbanization here. With these bridges above, with many viewpoints, signs about the history of this place, describing the working conditions people had here, how steel production was organized, and even information about the flowers they planted here. This is amazing. Such a giant thing, a body of steel, built by human beings. When you look at it, you can't help but admire. Witnessing the creation process, the results of human labor, is much nicer than those of the bombings, destruction, and devastation. As they say, to destroy is easier than to build. Also, in Pennsylvania, I was able to visit a local laundromat. For a non-American, it's almost like going to a museum. A short tour of an American laundry. Dennis is an experienced user. Nothing surprises him here. And I'm surprised by everything here. These are drying machines. They run for 25 cents. You can add 25 cents and get more time. Your laundry is drying like this. Looks amazing. There are different machines here, very big ones like these. The cost of washing also depends on its size. This one is $4.50. These are also washing machines. They look like ordinary washing machines at home. Here they put the detergent, and that costs $4.25. Machines like this. There are also vertical ones. They charge $2.50. Here you can select OxyClean, Tide, Gain, all the common mass market detergents. Each one is enough for one wash. You have to move this thing to the detergent of your choice. Insert 75 cents, and this thing will push it out, so that later you can pick it up here. What's interesting about this laundromat, it's very rare. Everything remained original. This is from the 1970s. This is from the 1980s. There are original posters. A machine with soft drinks. That's unusual. It must be here since the opening. A change machine. How cool. Here you put a bill, for example, $1, and receive quarters, as if you won them in a casino. Because here, the whole system works with 25-cent coins. My clothes. Getting dry. My beauty, my darling. But back to steel and skyscrapers. The success of Bethlehem Steel coincided with the construction activities in the U.S. when the legendary buildings and bridges were built. Manhattan was actively growing, becoming the business capital of the world. New York is mostly associated with this particular island, although now the city is composed of 5 huge districts. It initially started from Manhattan. Only at the end of the 19th century were Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, and Staten Island added. Manhattan is one of the main business centers not only in the United States, but all over the world. The headquarters of the leading global brands are located here, as well as the UN and the New York Stock Exchange. At the same time, Manhattan is the smallest and most densely populated part of New York. According to the 2020 population census, on 59 square kilometers, there are 1.7 million people. That's more than 28,000 people per square kilometer. When they were building offices and viaducts, they didn't think much about the city's residents. Business was in the first place. Even the coastal part became a huge industrial zone with ports, warehouses, and docks. And that's not only an access to the Pacific Ocean, but also to 2 large rivers, East River and Hudson. Now they are giving all this space back to the people. Another particular feature of New York urbanism is a huge amount of piers. You'll see them both in West River and Hudson. There are so many piers. New York, Manhattan is full of these piers, like a porcupine. Some of them used to be industrial or used for trade, you know. And now all these companies, both commercial and industrial, all these ports are relocated away from the city. Now it's a very fashionable city with piers, a super expensive city, and something has to be done with the piers. So, for the last 10 years, they have been reconstructing these old piers. Yes, some still retain their original function of transportation or logistics, but most of these docks were converted into public spaces. Small parks appear on the docks, sports fields, playgrounds, some buildings. Look here.
Площадки, детские площадки, здания.
This dock has ships.
Вот этот пирс еще,
And the next one already has a hotel which is called Pier 17.
который так и называется, пирс 17, например. А я сейчас
Now I am at the dock,
на пирсе,
which they've transformed into a public space of separate levels.
несколько этажей.
Look at it.
Выглядит. Сейчас посмотрим.
Let's look at the ground floor first. There's a little bar here. People grilling something.
Людей там жарят какой-то гриль.
A cafe. It's also got chairs
Вот стульчики,
and some lounge chairs where people are
на
resting.
которых народ тут как-то загорает.
The grass is green. The downtown view is great. Look at these skyscrapers.
Разные небоскребы.
And below are the trees. Lately, New York is getting greener.
Зеленеет и зеленеет с каждым годом.
They grow these local gardens wherever possible, including the old docks.
Можно в том числе вот и на старом пирсе.
So it was just a pier,
Где они
and they built another level with a green area, with a lawn right here. And on the lower level, they planted a small forest.
Такой маленький лес.
It looks very cool. Today, people come here to sunbathe,
Хотя
even though only 10 years ago it was an industrial dock.
такая промышленная набережная,
People would burn garbage here.
или мусор.
It was a very unpleasant place. And now, all green and pretty.
Красота.
The entire waterfront was rebuilt.
Она тоже переделана.
Now, let's check it out. There are tables, benches. New York never lacked benches. There are so many of them here that you can sit down all you
То
want.
есть, говорю, просто вот сиди, не пересиди.
Here, here. There are benches everywhere. These people are collecting bottles that they can exchange later. Here again, you can see that under the bridge, there is a trendy little restaurant where people can eat something.
Люди сидят. А здесь можно, видите,
And over there, some high chairs, as if it was a bar to eat,
чтобы сидеть с видом на
with a
воду.
sea view.
Опять же, видите,
Again, we see a variety of places to relax in.
для отдыха. Есть стулья,
There are high bar chairs. There are others, similar to beanbags, also benches facing each other.
друг на друга.
Another in the middle of the bushes.
В зелени здесь утопающая.
Benches, 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 an infinite number of benches and plants.
Зелени.
We are walking through the area that used to be industrial, all made of concrete. There used to be docks for cargo ships.
Набережной, где были причалы
With all the garbage, there were landfills here and stuff like that.
не знаю, там помойки, промзона такая трэшовая. И
You can see it in old pics, like those from the 1990s, right here. There were homeless people, some criminals. They were burning barrels with garbage. The New York City skyscrapers in the background. And now, look at the beauty. People are sunbathing. And now, my friends, I'm on the west side of Manhattan, and we are going to a park along the Hudson River.
Сейчас посмотрим на парк, на длинный парк вдоль Гудзона, он так и называется.
The Hudson Park. Let's see what they did with the piers here. And there is something to see here, a very cool public space,
Такое классное, на много километров.
stretching for several kilometers. Water fountains everywhere. People are drinking. They are filling their glasses. There are so many trees here, and there are chairs everywhere. As I said, New York doesn't lack chairs or drinking water. It's everywhere, accessible and free.
И бесплатно.
I drank it again. By the way, it is very convenient, especially with this heat. There are many sports grounds here.
Спортивных площадок, при этом вот, опять же, есть вот спортивные
And
площадки.
you can do different activities there. For example, here, you can ride scooters and skateboards. There are ramps and stuff. So many trees and benches again. They have a very good location to sit and enjoy the view.
Видите, можно было сидеть, любоваться водой.
Here is another dock that was converted into sports fields and playgrounds.
Спортивные площадки.
The pier itself is still here, but it no longer fulfills the function it originally had. Pier 25. Here, as I had already said, there's a skate park. The good thing about well-designed public space is that each person, regardless of their age or interests, can find something fun to do here.
Интересов обязательно найдет чем ему заняться.
As for Hudson River Park,
Гудзон Ривер Парк.
Here they have things for small children, for teenagers, for young people, like the skate park, for those who want to sit and read a book, do yoga, play soccer. Throughout the whole park, there are an infinite number of different activities, and it's amazing. There's a lot to learn here for those who design public spaces. We are approaching Pier 26. Here the works continue. They are going to do something new here, something interesting. Here is Pier 26. I wanted to show you this public space they've made here. It's new and it's very trendy. It's a sports field. Plus, I love how they work with the nature here. By the way, here you can see what it used to look like. Here it is, Pier 26. Not long ago it was just concrete, and now it's a cool public space. Now let's see what it consists of. Here we can see a green lawn with dense grass where people are doing sports, yoga, or just sunbathing. Here are more benches made of wood, not painted. People come here with picnic baskets, with water. Some even bring wine. You can see New Jersey from this park. It's actually another state, but still. Many New Yorkers live there because it's cheaper. They go to work in Manhattan through the tunnel under the Hudson. Here they've built a very interesting soccer field. You can see these concrete beams, they are supporting the net. And the field has a trapezoidal shape. And inside they play sports. It is an example of how a sports field can be interesting and stylish. The entrance is on this side. There are no doors or anything else. It's simply like an entrance from one side. The net overlaps there. Another interesting thing is that they've covered these metal columns with mats so that people don't get hurt. People take security very seriously here in the US. You won't see any tight angles here or any elements that can potentially hurt players. Because if something happens, as you already know, American courts demand a very large compensation. Behind the sports field, we see an amphitheater with lounge chairs, where people are sunbathing. Here again, spectacular urbanism. Inside there is a pergola with swings, on one side and on the other side. There are plates telling how it was done in different areas with different types of plants that we can see here. Here in each area it is explained what plants grow where. This is the end of the pier. For some reason it was closed, but here you could go to the water. And there are some plants that grow near water. Here is a wooden deck. And some plants grow even in the water. There is the lower level of the plants that grow directly in water. There are different plants at different levels, and all of that is explained. They analyzed everything from the point of view of ecology, so that a maximum number of plants would grow here. At the end of this deck, there is a viewpoint where you can sunbathe while looking at New Jersey. You can relax with your dog, watching the ships pass by with ferries. What else do you need to be happy? In general, a lot of attention in New York is paid to viewpoints and places to enjoy the view. Not only in New York, in new urbanism in general. You can see that more and more viewpoints are being created, giving additional value to public spaces. The important thing is not only that we can walk, but that we can enjoy the view. And here we can get closer to read about a new area, about the animals that live here. Right here in the shoals, over here, you can see it here. If you come with a child, it is especially interesting to explain what is happening. And another great view here. Hudson, New Jersey. You can see the dock where we have just been. Let's move on. There are more areas here. Look at the variety of places to sit. One can sit on the grass, swing, lie down on these bunks, or sit on these wide benches. Or some people even do sports. It has chairs and a table with a view of Manhattan and other docks. And here there is a net. Why? So that the food and glasses that the people bring here won't fly into the river. And for people not to throw anything in the water on purpose. Look what a cozy place they have here. As if it were a good bar. At the same time, all of these chairs, they are very well made. It's not something made from scratch in a garage. It is actually a well-designed piece. All these details, each plank is a different size. Everything is done in an ergonomic way. Everything is finished with much attention to details. Everything is made with such quality and is so solid, it amazes me. No plank is loose. There is something we can learn here. I'm coming down from this wooden deck to the pier. There's a spectacular green park with birches, flowers, and stones here. So cool. It's something we must learn too. The United States is a big country where lots of stuff happens. And in American cities, there are many terrible things. There is poverty, filth, homelessness, social injustice. There is all that here. But besides that, there are many cool things. Then there is grass. People are resting. And here you can rent a kayak or go kayaking in the Hudson River. With this heat, it should be incredible because the water is cold. And it's more pleasant to be in the water. Many people are doing sports. That's great. What can you do on the pier? You can choose here. Yoga classes, different parks. You can find them on the map here. You can see how actively they develop the waterfront area. It's full of works. And here, according to the image, another cool public space will appear, with a beach and a big soccer field. So everything will be beautiful and trendy. Recently, you could only rest from the rhythm of the big city only in Central Park. Now, to compensate for the glass and concrete of the business centers, New Yorkers try to make as much green space as possible. That's why small parks appear everywhere. Another lawn. Chairs. By the way, it is fenced. I'll tell you more about this fence. Around some green areas in New York, you will see fences. But it's important to mention the reasons why they do it. They sometimes fence the lawns that need regeneration. Then they open them again. It's for people not to step on the grass, so that it remains green and the lawn can rest. Sometimes they fence areas with temporary fences because the plants are too young and may easily get hurt. Here it says when you can enter and when you can't. Now this lawn is open and can be used. Then it will have to rest. Usually in New York, if there is grass, you can and should walk on the grass. Otherwise, why would it be in the city? Here again, you see the temporary fence. They must be new and fresh plants that are not yet strong enough. And here, there is no more fence. In what concerns urban planning, New Yorkers are doing great. What a variety of plants and flowers. If I were walking like this in Russia, there would probably be just grass here. At the worst, weeds. What can grow on its own would grow. And here we can see some daffodils that have already stopped blooming. A huge quantity and variety of flowers and plants. There's something blooming all the time throughout the year. There is something green all the time. And here is also a monument. This is the monument in memory of the victims of the Korean War. It's a silhouette of a soldier, an interesting monument. On the pedestal there is a mosaic with American coalition flags.
Флаги от американской коалиции.
And here are rays going out like this. Each one shows how many people died and how many disappeared in each of these countries.
Сколько пропало без вести от каждой.
The Netherlands, 120 dead. New Zealand, 42. Korean War, 1950 through 53. Of course, here are the main flags, the American with the mosaic, and the South Korean. By the way, you can't ride a bike here. I don't know where they are going. Maybe they are tourists. Or maybe you actually can, and I'm just a fool. I have a feeling that I'm walking on a bike lane myself while criticizing cyclists. Yes, I feel like a total idiot. Yes, I am on a bike lane. I hope no one sees me here and takes a picture. As for bicycles, due to traffic jams and frequent roadworks, in New York it is one of the most comfortable means of transportation. You can get around Manhattan by bike, and also reach other areas like this. There are bike lanes here, even on the bridges. By the way, my friends, City Bike got new electric bicycles. These gray ones are for rent with a solid frame, steering wheel, and a screen that shows the percentage of the battery. It has no other meaning. And compared to their old bicycles, they had some electric ones even before. So compared to their old bicycles, these ones are more powerful. I just tried it, and it accelerates very well. They must have installed a more powerful engine. That's amazing. The only thing is that the bicycles are expensive. They cost $15 a day if you ride a bike all day. On the other hand, it is much cheaper than a taxi. The most important thing is that it is much faster than a taxi. Now I'm going from Brooklyn to Manhattan. Oh, there's a dangerous guy here. I'm going to cross the Brooklyn Bridge on a bike. I'll show you what the entrance is like and how the cycling infrastructure works here. To the right is the car lane. Pedestrians walk to the left. And below is the bike lane. The bike lane is completely isolated. On the right is a fence, a net, a construction barrier. On the left too, a fence, a net, and barriers. And ahead is the bridge. Now let's get on it. Of course, pedestrians have the best path. Pedestrians are at the top of the Brooklyn Bridge at the highest level. They have a good view of both sides. They can enjoy the bridge details, the architecture, and everything else. And the cyclists, as you see, are down to earth. Before, cyclists used to go on top too, but since there were too many, they lowered the bike lane to the road. Look, there used to be a highway here, and now cyclists ride here next to cars, without being able to stop or enjoy the view. And before, they went up there. So now all the beauty belongs to the pedestrians, and cyclists have to ride between two barriers, trying to look to the sides, but see nothing. It's sad. Everything is done for pedestrians' comfort. The advantage of the Brooklyn Bridge is that, unlike Manhattan and the Williamsburg Bridge, it doesn't have a subway. It's relatively still. For example, on the Manhattan Bridge, when a train passes by, you go crazy from the noise. And it's not nice to walk like this. I have to be faster here because people are chasing me. There are puddles. Okay, goodbye, clean shoes. There are a lot of scooters here lately. Some are electric, others are regular ones, with gasoline engines on cycle paths. I don't know how legal it is, but I don't think it's right. We are entering Manhattan. Here are skyscrapers of Lower Manhattan Financial District. What a spectacular view. Every time you enter this woods of skyscrapers, you go, wow.
Wow.
Lately, in New York, there has been a lot of attention paid to playgrounds. Let's check out the playgrounds of New York. Oh, right here, next to the piers, they have an extraordinary playground. Let's look at it. You already know how I like reviewing children's playgrounds. This one, by the way, is pretty good. There are some nets here. Everything is full of sand. Here you can see that a child tried to escape. I don't know if you can see it, but here the net is broken. I don't know if the escape was successful, whether that kid was able to leave the playground or not. But of course, we are not here for these nets. We are here for a cooler thing. It's probably something to talk. You speak to one tube and listen from the other. You need to look for where you can listen and where they are speaking. There is this ramp. From here you can see the slides. I'll try to walk there without parents seeing me. A big problem with all these playgrounds is that you can't film children here. Or other people at all, you know. And the person who enters a playground without a child raises many questions. Many questions. And many suspicions. Look what else they have here. Water fountains. If kids get thirsty, here there is an area for water games. And this red construction, similar to a submarine cabin, is a bathroom. Plus, there is even a shower. Now let's go see another playground, in the very south of Manhattan, near the docks from which the boats to the Statue of Liberty depart. There are always a lot of tourists there, so there should be cool playgrounds there. They built recently. I haven't seen it, and now I'm going to see it for the first time. The playground is fenced, by the way. In New York, they build fences around playgrounds. If there are small children there, so they don't escape. Now let's see what this playground looks like and how it works. Of course, there is a water fountain for kids to stay hydrated. I wanted to drink, but it doesn't work. There's no water. All right, here is a very interesting construction. It's a wall to climb. It's hard to explain what kind of surface they have here. It's really soft. I don't know if you can see, but when you step on it, your foot sinks about 5 or 6 centimeters in. It's really soft, and if a child falls, it will cushion very well. You can press it like this, even with a finger. The metal curtains, I don't know, maybe it's a sculpture, I don't know. Here is a fun garden where you can jump over the stones, some slides, stairs. As for the style, it is done very well. I mean the colors. There is a large area here to play with water. We will not go there because angry parents scare me. But this large area is where you can play with water. Now it's really hot, and a lot of people chill in this area. Here is a fun area with slides. They made a hill here, which on the one hand protects this entire playground from the highway and the noise of this city center. But on the other hand, this hill is a base for the slides, and the slides are made of granite. Everything here is very substantive and solid. The playground is pretty new. There's still a net to strengthen the ground here. Some plants will grow here. Look at the slide. It is not metal, but made of granite. I saved myself a little from the infernal heat of New York. It turns out that only one fountain was not working. How I wish I were a child now, jumping between all these fountains. So the playground is very cool, and this division into zones, slides, and different activities, also with water. It's great. Different kinds of slides. Good job. There are rules here, and it says that adults can't enter the park if they are not with kids, so I could be kicked out. I'm a criminal. I hope you forgive me, because my intentions were good. As you can understand, I just wanted to show you the new playgrounds in New York. Let's move forward. We have a lot of interesting urban planning solutions, dogs and children's playgrounds, urbanism of all kinds. So, my friends, thanks for watching. It's time to like this video. And this lawn is closed. They are taking care of it. There are lawnmowers back there. Although they could have sent a robot. But no, they are doing it manually cutting the grass. We can see the Statue of Liberty already. And again, in terms of beautification, look at the variety of plants. How many different plants are there? It's incredibly pretty. These dense woods. We are in the center of New York, but I'd never say that. It looks like a botanical garden. New Yorkers know how to keep the kids busy. If they no longer play with sand, they can gather for a demonstration. Where are local deputies looking? Who's marching? To a place? Our team of pioneers. Children are demanding something good. Or bad. We don't know. We'll see now. Well, the children, led by this man, demonstrate for abortions.
Вышли за аборты.
In New York, they care not only about humans, but also about dogs. Another interesting detail of New York is a huge amount of dog parks. Special parks for dogs. I mean, there are many, and they are all different. And it seems to me, I would go as far to say New York has the best parks and overall infrastructure for dogs in the world. The love they have for their dogs here, it's hard to find elsewhere. Because now we're going to check out another dog park, and you will see it with your own eyes. There's a dog park here with an entrance like this. So that the dog does not escape. First you open one door and then the other, so no one can escape. Inside they have a hose, so you can bathe your dog, especially when it's hot. There's also a tree there, some slides, containers for water, bones, everything to make your dog feel comfortable. There are many dog parks like this. You are walking in the center of Manhattan, and you see dog parks everywhere. Literally every 200 to 300 meters. They are cool, varied, well planned, makes you want to get a dog. Another interesting thing is that many cafes here, not only are they dog friendly, meaning that you can come in with your pet, but often they give them water and even treats. So that while the owner is ordering his coffee, which is not cheap, a coffee costs $5 to $6 in Manhattan. While he's ordering his coffee, the dog can eat dog treats for free. The only thing that isn't expensive in Manhattan is being a dog. Another amazing dog park. Look, they made a pool for dogs here, where they can bathe. And an entrance like this again. So when someone enters, your dog doesn't run away. There's water. And for the owners, there are these luxurious beaches in the shade. It just makes you want to be a dog in New York. Here's another dog park. And look, they have a division. This park is for big dogs. And this one is for small dogs. Here is a swimming pool where dogs can bathe. There is even a special indicator here that this park is for big dogs only. Americans also take care of wildlife. Here, for example, they raise funds to save endangered species. Here in one of the squares, they have these very detailed sculptures of different animals that are currently in danger of extinction. At least as far as I know, this organization raises funds. But we are not interested in funds. We are interested in these sculptures. How cool are they? Amazing. Here is a chimpanzee, and here a hippopotamus. There are rhinos, antelopes, and the polar bear. Behind my back lies one of the wonders of local urbanism, one of the new public spaces, which is called Little Island. It is basically an island that floats over the waters of Hudson. They opened it recently. Now there are a lot of people here. You wouldn't be able to enter here just like that. You have to wait in line or book a free ticket in advance. The space is very well organized there, with different areas and tracks. But since the park is not big in terms of size, there are more people wanting to see it than can actually fit. There used to be a pier here. That rotted down and was destroyed. And instead of the old dock, they decided to build a public space. At the entrance, there are people checking the tickets. By the way, this park has a logo. This is what it looks like, Little Island. A miracle happened. I finally entered this park. Now let's see. The peak of New York urbanism, or rather, a small but wonderful island. The first thing we see is the spectacular entrance. We are following this path, and now we are entering an arch of concrete flowers. These concrete flowers are a base of this park. They all have different height. They are from 4 to 19 meters tall. And because of these height differences, an amazing relief is created here. This entire park floats on water. It really reminds me of aquatic flowers like lilies that are already blooming. They are like petals. They all have a unique shape. And actually, they themselves are a huge concrete sculpture that lights up at night. It looks very nice. These flowers are the main feature. They are also in the park's logo, and people admire these flowers, although they are literally just pillars. Here it should be noted that these flowers are also giant pots with soil, where all that green grows and brings joy to the visitors of the small island. Here are huge numbers of trails here. Some are organized, like here. Here is an access ramp here, railings, a lot of plants again. And here are trails that are wild. We'll see them later. It's a square with a cafe where you can drink beer or wine. Alcohol is sold at the kiosk. And here, if you look, they use the metal sheets that are usually used for the ground in foundation trenches. Normally, this would be removed. But here they left it. If we look closer, we can enjoy the very small detail. Look, for example, at this dome. It's a water receptor. When the water runs through here, it doesn't get contaminated thanks to its shape, and the water goes here to avoid flooding. It's a bench, but not just a regular bench. It's a wonder bench. On one hand, it resembles a giant log, and on the other hand, it's flat. Here you can see how much attention was paid to this bench. We continue climbing the ramp. There are some oaks. There are so many other plants, it's amazing. They make you want to stop and admire the plants. What a variety, just look. Why didn't I study biology properly? I could know the name of all the plants, of all these flowers, and all these herbs. To make the park even more fun, they've placed some sculptures here, including this one that captures attention. Here is an observation point, a place to recharge in comfort. And look at Manhattan. There you can see the skyscrapers of the financial district. From here you can see the famous Highline Park, probably the most famous public space in the world. which is often given as an example to others. Although now, for New York City, it is not the coolest thing out there. Now, in New York, there are more interesting things, including, for example, this little island. This is a park employee. They wear a uniform like that. And here, you could get to the grass. Now you can't. Because as they say, the lawns are resting. Please help us take care of them and don't enter. There were stone steps here and a lawn that rests. I want to be this lawn and just rest a bit, with a view of New Jersey. Here is a ramp on one side and a staircase on the other. People climb these stairs to get to this part of the island to enjoy the view of Manhattan. Here is a small stage. Look at the details again. Look how these seats are made. They are made of super solid logs, untreated. Look at this wood. It feels nice to touch, and at the same time it is not painted. It is carved in a way, it won't leave any splinters, nor will it spoil your clothes. But if you touch it, it's really nice, because it's natural wood. They made a very cool combination here. On one hand, rusty metal, as we can see. On the other, along with this rusty metal everywhere, there are tender flowers. And everything looks very, very cool. Through this arc, a pink bush is trying to get out. These are the bathrooms. We will not go to the bathrooms. Let's just enjoy how cool the bathrooms are here. It's like these beautiful flowers. These concrete buds grew from the water, creating a small island. Also, notice how the fence is made. They are simply some rusty spikes. Here we have another lawn, full of people. This lawn is not resting. It is already rested. There is a ramp system everywhere, so strollers and wheelchairs can move easily. Someone came here to run. I wonder if he bought an entrance ticket to come for a jog. Here we are at an amphitheater. And since people are gathering here, I guess there will be a show. Or maybe they are just here to enjoy the sunset. This is the main viewpoint. People come here with blankets. They have picnics on the grass. So cool. Well, this is the public space they made in New York. It's incredibly cool. The interesting thing here is that a very small piece of land, actually, of water, they created an island with so many different things, details, plants, etc. So, from nothing, they've made a good public space. They didn't even need the land for that. It is simply a spectacular work. Their attention to detail. Keep in mind that New York City has a lot of public spaces like this. I've shown you several, and every year there are more and more of them. And now it's time to go out. Let's just look again at these wonderful flowers. Some are low, others are high. So these are the old spikes, the remains of the old dock. Interestingly, they didn't even remove them, as a reminder that there was something here before. There was another dock, and now there's a new island. I want to share a life hack with you guys. How to save money in New York and many other cities. When going on a river tour, I know that some guys, when they arrive in New York, they rent a yacht or a boat to enjoy the views of Manhattan from the water. In fact, you can simply get on a ferry. The ferry network works very well here. And for $2.75, you can take the ferry and see the same views of Manhattan. You'll save a lot of money. This is the ferry. Another good view of Manhattan opens from Long Island. I crossed to the other bank of the East River to Brooklyn. Before it merged with New York City, Brooklyn was a town on its own. Unlike Manhattan, it grew in width, not in height, absorbing the former Dutch and English villages. After the construction of the famous Brooklyn Bridge, people who couldn't afford life in Manhattan started moving there. In addition, migrants from different countries lived here. In Brooklyn, there are still different ethnic districts, like Hasidic neighborhoods in Williamsburg, Arabs at Bay Ridge, and post-Soviet migrants in Brighton Beach. Previously, the Brooklyn docks were taken by ports, plants, and even a naval marine shipyard. Now there are new residential districts and public spaces here. Ah, Long Island, another pier in a very trendy district. It is also a former industrial area. Now there are tall residential buildings here and spectacular urbanism. I'm not talking about these anthills, guys. You tell me. Varlamov, don't you hate anthills? Let's focus on landscaping here, guys. On the urban planning, on the beauty they've created here. And that, by the way, do you recognize the building? It is the UN building. Yes, that one. Obviously, it's an expensive neighborhood. It used to be an industrial zone. Now there are only some constructions reminding of that. Loading and unloading. Black, terrifying, but also it complements the area, reminding us of its history. Of course, it's not just these black buildings, not only these port cranes, but also a fragment of the rails. Again, like a reminder that there used to be a port here before. And here, next to the road, there are food trucks. Food trucks are a particular feature of New York and in the US in general. They are ugly, tacky. They don't go with anything at all. They sell some weird stuff here. I don't know, but people like it. Well, it's a free country, so people can have them. These flashy trucks. This shore of the East River has also been reached by gentrification, and Williamsburg is the brightest example. At some point in time, hipsters from Manhattan started moving there, thus converting once industrial districts into one of the most trendy places in the city with cafeterias and street art. When this place became too expensive, the hipsters moved to more affordable districts, and Williamsburg is getting new houses, parks, and public spaces. Well, I once again see another popular public space. Let's go check it out. By the way, look, they made a terrain here, and to provide support to this terrain, there are some shafts. At the moment, it's evident that they have not planted anything yet. There are just weeds. I don't think that anything has been planted here on purpose. Probably, in the future, some gardener will come here to create something with a picture in mind. Look, there are tables and chairs everywhere. It is very popular these days to buy some food in a store, like a salad, a sandwich, some water, and go to a nearby square or a park to eat your food there. It's just amazing. Take a look at how many benches there are. The benches, the stones, the benches with tables, everything looks completely new. They built a new public space, though as you can see, it used to be a wasteland. Same as this one. This is what the tables look like. You can play chess or checkers. This table is for an introvert. These are fountains, by the way. They are not working right now because they have not yet been powered, since the space is completely new. By the way, look how they arrange drainage everywhere. I mean, all lawns have a decline and a special dome-shaped water receiver. It's just a small public space, which was created very, very recently. I haven't seen it here before. More houses are appearing nearby, and I think that soon there will be more expensive properties here. In the US, public spaces are often responsibility of the building owner. Here, someone constructed a modern office building, and they made a small park here with pretty benches. They placed chairs, tables, planted some birches. What a beauty! Such beauty. In the middle of this depressing surrounding. But the interesting thing is that it says here that the park is open from 6 a.m. until midnight. Now I am going to explain why it's like this. Even though there are no fences and anyone can come here, such signs of the working hours of public spaces are necessary formalities. So if you want to drink here at night or even sleep here, the police will have grounds to kick you out.
То у сотрудников полиции будут все основания вас отсюда.
They'll say, it states here the park does not operate at night, so get out of here. Dear friend, of course, if you just sit here on the bench at 2 a.m. reading a book with a flashlight, no one will bother you. But if you decide to sleep here or do something indecent, then you may have some problems.
Могут быть проблемы.
We continue, my friends, to enjoy the beautification of this district. Here is a new building, very modern, and there are a lot of beautiful things here. Here's the view of Manhattan, and here you can see the Manhattan and Brooklyn bridges. The Manhattan one is made of metal, and the Brooklyn one is made of stone. Here they built a residential building from some sort of glass blocks, and there is this embankment alongside the residential complex. Again, everything is open. You can pass here easily without any fenced territories in your way. Here we have some street art. And it looks pretty cool, by the way. Not this one, but the one over there. It's painted incredibly well. And now we are entering a typical standard quintessential US neighborhood. Concrete pavements, a busted road, dirt everywhere, wooden poles. Even the trendy, not-so-cheap districts of New York can look untidy.
Районы могут выглядеть неопрятно.
In general, if we talk about cities in the United States, they are mostly dirty, unkempt. They often have poor roads. Basically, they've got a lot of problems.
Каких-то проблем.
So if you want to see perfect cleanliness and order, you need to go to certain districts or suburbs where rich people live.
Пригороды, в которых живут богачи.
There, every piece of grass and every bush will be neatly trimmed. There are gardeners everywhere and a lot of money poured into it over there. But if you go to New York, there is a total disorder. Here is a very expensive new building, and over there, there's a bad road next to some abandoned place. And look, once again, they have built something new here. A hotel, maybe an office center, or it could be a high-end restaurant. Here, everything is destroyed again. In this aspect, the city is very contrasting. Here are fences full of ads. What's behind this fence? Behind, there is some vacant lot, full of garbage. And here, once again, is a very expensive building. Well, one can say that the city is being settled in. Talking about contrasts, here we have something beautiful, then something ugly. There is some rubbish there under the bridge. It's the Williamsburg Bridge. There are trash cans. And if we continue along this way, we'll see a beautiful space again. There is a pretty interesting and rare paving. Look at the giant granite slabs. This is something that you don't often see. It's nice here. There are some little flowers, urbanization, tidiness, and everything seems relatively neat. Here opens an interesting view of the Williamsburg Bridge. And here is the famous street art that must be about 10 years old already. A girl sitting and looking somewhere. They have not demolished some port structures here earlier. This is an example of the reconstruction. There used to be a port. These are former warehouses. I don't know what exactly was here before, but now they have built a big market here with a food court, some offices. Look, here they have baked bread and made pizza. And on the pillars here, they have put some very cool stickers with historical background detailing how this area was developed. Besides, here on the walls, you can see how the territory looked earlier. So on one hand, it's a public space with a food court, cafeterias, and fast food places. Although now they are closed. But still, and on the other hand, it is an office center. In such places, you can forget that you are in a megacity with millions of inhabitants.
Конечно, это лишь часть огромного и такого разного Нью-Йорка. Для сравнения, я прогулялся по центральным улицам Манхэттена.
Well, folks, it's time to show the horrors of New York. Look, it's the downtown, the financial center, one of the most expensive districts. And what do we see? Filth. Terrible filth. These rusty things to block the roads. These metal things go up. They're all rusty, not painted. They could have at least painted them. The city has never been cleaned. There's literally poop heating up over the vent, frying, while there's an entrance with a caretaker to a decent place here.
Вход с консьержем в какое-то, видимо, приличное заведение.
Board exchange. I don't know what it is, but it looks very posh. They are walking their dogs here. I mean, again, there's a hotel here, but everything smells like urine. Everything. It feels like they flipped a public toilet over and everything is full of poop. And right here they have a fashion shop where they sell clothes or something. It's something looking very posh too. These are the contrasts of downtown Manhattan. And here, about 10 meters from this dump, there was a Balenciaga show about a half hour ago. It's one of very fashionable brands. There's a cool sign, by the way. I haven't seen it before. They got a crossed-out car sign from somewhere that closes off the streets. It's also very rusty, but there's a funny antique car from the 1970s or 1960s. They brought in a lot of fences because they were blocking the streets, and they were blocking them because of the Balenciaga show. Here are the postal boxes from the US mail, and there's a lot of police here. I don't know what they're here for. Probably it's for the surveillance for the Balenciaga show. I don't know. Well, here they are. Another interesting thing. Look how in downtown they made fences against drivers who might drive on the pavement. These aren't concrete blocks, but something beautiful, like big crystals from a very solid piece of metal, or at least a very thick layer.
Металлические, как, я не знаю, похожие на такие вот большие кристаллы цельного куска металла. Ну или, по крайней мере, очень толстый слой.
It's unlikely that they have made them out of copper, but it must be a concrete block with copper cover or something. Anyway, it looks nice. This is how they protect the pavements. Of course, everything is full of the barriers because it's a financial district. There are a lot of public entities, and so sometimes they block the roads like this. Here the street is closed. There are a lot of fire engines, ambulances, and it looks like something happened. In reality, with 90% probability, absolutely nothing happened. It's just that in the US, any small incident involves a lot of special equipment. It glows, it beeps, it changes color. There's a stretcher here. Let's have a look. Maybe it's a road accident. But look how many emergency services there are. Wow, there's more and more ambulances. I mean, that all looks like there was a terrifying accident. So, what's going on? Everybody here's like, well, so? Here are the stretchers with bags on them as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it's because a bin caught fire or something, but in general, nothing's really happening. There are firemen coming back with axes, but there's no fire or smoke. Well, maybe something caught fire. Or maybe some services are digging something up. And that's their equipment. The interesting thing is that everybody is very friendly. You can take pictures of everybody. Nobody tells you to go away. And without fail, there's an American flag on every vehicle. At the same time, note that the American flag has the stars woven on it. It's not just a piece of cloth, but something expensive, of good quality, with stars. An American flag printed on both sides. So it's not at all clear what happened. The amount of equipment seems a bit frightening. But as I said before, in the USA, they like to put out, even for small accidents, a lot of equipment and everything, so that the taxpayers see that their huge taxes aren't just wasted. That's why all the service cars have to make noise, shine, and a huge number of people are involved in any tiny incident. Even if a small accident happens, the ambulance, the police, a fire engine arrive at once, and they say, wow, we've got work to do. Walking around New York, you surely find people with huge bin bags. Here's a person handing in used cans in a shop. They give 5 cents for one can. He's putting a lot of cans into this machine. And he's not only just throwing them away, but also scans the barcode. Once he does that, the machine says whether it's accepted or not. New York has a particular feature, as usually these can collectors have these cans in giant bags so that they aren't crushed. Why? Because this machine that he puts the cans into doesn't accept crushed cans. No, here he doesn't need to scan the barcode. The device then issues vouchers that can be used in the supermarket. Generally, there are a lot of these recycling machines in Scandinavia. They are very common in Sweden, Finland. In any more or less big supermarket, there will be different machines that accept cans, bottles, and give money for them. The only thing that I didn't quite understand is why some containers can be squashed and deformed, but others, at least as far as I know, have to be in perfect shape, as otherwise the device can't recognize the barcodes and give you vouchers. And you need to scan the barcode because this money it gives is part of the cost of the can or bottle. The can says it costs 5 or 10 cents, and the price of the can is part of the drink you buy. So you need to scan the barcode to present the invoice to the producer afterwards. The producer earns this money from the customers, and then the shop will earn this money from the producer. It sounds very responsible. On the one hand, it looks like Manhattan is already full of skyscrapers, but there are new skyscrapers appearing all the time. So it's amazing to come to a nice district where the nice and historic houses are still preserved. Manhattan is just amazing. The districts of contrast. These are low-rise buildings with a lot of trees and plants. It's just beautiful. It's a quiet residential district. And although there are some big buildings, everything is very quiet. There are no tourists, no noisy restaurants, no shops. By the way, in Manhattan, you can also find some old artifacts from the past. Here's a red post to call the firemen or the police. The interesting thing is that in New York, as in Russia, the workers do not put in a lot of effort. They were given red paint and asked to paint, so they did. They could have been tidier. They could have done it carefully, cleaned up the old paint, but there was no talent involved. They just made it dirty and left it like that. The most important thing is that this luxurious metal post has been preserved, an important attribute of many buildings and many houses. If there is a caretaker, there are these canopies, so that when getting out of a taxi or car, you could enter the house without getting your head or clothes dirty. Now it's not as relevant because there are cars parked everywhere and it's difficult to get close to the entrance. But expensive houses almost always have these canopies. You can find houses like this in Manhattan. They are luxury houses with luxury fences. I don't normally like fences, but here it looks like a fences exhibition. You can enjoy every fence here. And it's not just the fences. Look, there are these ironwork balconies. There are all these decorations. And the most interesting thing is that here, near the entrance, there are these 2 lanterns. They're gas lanterns that still work. They are the real gas lanterns. Here is a very luxurious entrance, a luxurious door, a luxurious canopy with lace veneers. But it's worth noting that all this beauty costs an insane amount of money. Lately, prices in New York have risen dramatically. From some properties, they have doubled. People complain that the prices of real estate have risen a lot. People are forced to change flats. If the rental agreement you have is not a fixed price agreement, where the way price increases is fixed, nor is it a long-term agreement, then the owner of the property you rent probably has increased the price a lot. The prices of products, restaurants, everything went up a lot. New York became extremely expensive. To give you an idea of how expensive everything is here, I did a review of the food in a local supermarket. We live in Manhattan, downtown. Where is the food? Ilya says, I want to buy food for the morning, for breakfast. I tell him, we don't have shops in downtown, because the rent is huge here. Here is a shop. Let's go shopping here. But it's terrible here. Look at these tomatoes. It's a good tomato. It doesn't taste good. It doesn't matter. No, it's bad. How much are the raspberries? 2 for $5. But they're bad raspberries. They started to rot. Yeah, they're bad raspberries for $2.50 a box, but you have to buy 2. Nuts. A small box of cashews is $6. I don't want it. Do you want them anymore? Yeah, I don't want the nuts anymore. The problem is, you look at it and you realize it's not going to taste nice. It really won't taste good. In the US, there is a huge problem with food, especially fruits and vegetables, even though they're supposedly in season now. Finding anything more or less edible is impossible. If you have ever tasted Uzbek or Azerbaijani tomatoes, they're way up there. Do you want me to tell you that you've eaten Uzbek tomatoes all your life? Yes, well, look at the strawberries. Yeah, well, they aren't looking nice. And how much are they? They're 2 for $5. It means they're selling bad strawberries on sale. It makes you want to bury them in this coffin. I can't imagine eating them. Just look at them. Organic. Yeah, of course. They say they're organic just to make them look more expensive, to convince me to buy them. Look at the price as well. You'll look at the price. Fortunately, it doesn't have a price. It has to be, so I won't be disappointed. You can only find out in a till $7 for rotten raspberries. You see, it's already gone bad. It got sad and died, like most produce made from who knows what. It doesn't rot, it dries out, but it doesn't spoil. Portobello. We don't have money for portobello. Let's go. We're 2 homeless men walking into a supermarket. It looks like it. $9 goes into the basket. Okay. Now let's count how much we spent for breakfast. $5. Brie. The main thing is not to look at the pieces, because when you see them, you get sad. But then you remember what the exchange rate is now, and it's not so sad anymore. 2 bottles for $4. 2 bottles for $4. How much? $2.59. I'll take one. You can't afford to buy more. How much is it? $5.39 for 6 eggs. So 1 egg costs almost $1. Do you shop based on price? The more expensive, the better? Yes. Is that your guiding principle? There are 2 for $6. How do you live here? I don't understand. We don't go to these shops. How do you buy this food? Where are the normal Orthodox German Sterligov shops? In Brighton Beach. Now let's find out how much it costs. That's the important thing. Did you buy that for breakfast? I bought it for a few days to prepare breakfast. There's bologna cheese. Well, I've got a lot of questions for you, especially your recipes. But well, let's see. How much was it? $107. It's good to be rich. They see it in a way that the government is trying to make the money they lost during the COVID. I mean, I think they're spending so much because they were giving out all the benefits money. They spent the money, and now they have to get it back. So doesn't it have anything to do with Russia? Some particular person I spoke to didn't think it because of that. Others might do. I have a video on my channel where I talk to Americans about Russia and Ukraine, and many commented that they were willing to put up with the high prices if it stops the bloodshed. At the same time, the Russians aren't treated differently now, despite what the Russian propagandists might say. I see the people are terrified by what is happening. But in the conversations I've had about it, everyone said that they differentiate the people from the authorities, and they realize that we ourselves have nothing to do with it. But the business of my friends, who have a Russian restaurant, just stagnated. They prepare dishes from Russian-speaking countries, from Georgia, Ukraine, Russia, and people stopped going there. It's difficult for them. My business was not affected at all. Although I deleted the mention that we are from Russia on my website. I said that we are immigrant photographers. That's it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Have you ever been reproached for being Russian? No, I can't imagine such a thing. It's not possible in New York. When the whole thing started about 3 months ago, I even did a poll on Instagram asking if anything has changed. One guy told me that his university paid off his fees for one semester, saying that they know he has problems with all he is going on and want to make things easier for him. Many were given temporary holidays to deal with the stress if they need some time. It's just that on TV they tell us that they almost attack Russians in the street, that there is discrimination. One guy told me that he traveled to the south. I think he went to Louisiana. And there, someone on the street heard his language, but they didn't even understand what language it was, so they can't distinguish the Slavic accent from the Ukrainian or Polish. It's all the same. And when he said he is Russian, a guy from Louisiana shouted at him in the street. That's the only thing I heard. But you see, the US is far away. They're isolated from everyone else. They have their own continent. They feel like they are in the center of the world. Everything else is a bit far away. A bigger problem is hate crime toward Asians because of COVID. This is a New York problem. I mean, a woman was pushed into a subway train and she was Asian. Don't know who she was, maybe Chinese. This is a problem. And there's a thing called Stop Asian Hate in neighborhoods like Chinatown. You'll see their signs. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't want the Chinese. Not for COVID, but for building a dog kennel inside of a cafe. I'm going to show you folks how the Chinese make fun of people. We are in Chinatown, and there is a restaurant here. And during COVID, they built the street booths for the food. It looks like this. At first, I thought they were toilets, movable constructions, or something similar. But no, it's a booth. It has an air conditioner inside. It's made of cheap plywood, of whatever materials they had. This is where the food is handed over. There's a menu on the wall, and people actually sit down to eat there. Just look at this. It looks absolutely terrible. It's hard to believe, but people eat inside here. I really thought it's a construction site, and they built toilets for workers. Stop complaining about New York. How can it get so degraded? I don't know. I can't believe it. I was just about to get indignant and send pictures of these booths to my friends from Beijing, Andrew. But he replied that it's not all that bad. They're little VIP rooms called Paofang. Because proper Chinese don't eat in a common room with ordinary people, as if they were in a train terminal. So they eat in these small VIP rooms. And if the rent in Manhattan doesn't allow them to do normal VIP rooms, it's better to eat in a kennel, but private, and not with ordinary people, in the common room. Local fashion. Maybe some people started to suffer at the sight of these girls. But New York is a city of brave people. Everyone here doesn't care about how they are dressed, but they aren't indifferent to where they spend their time. If their children are safe, and if your dog is comfortable, I wanted to show you what a city that's comfortable for the people looks like. Don't forget to share this video on Reddit and send a link to your friends on WhatsApp.